Wendell Cawood is 64 years old. He farms 480 acres outside Saybrook, Illinois, on the same ground his father Daltrey Cawood farmed before him from 1948 until Daltrey's death in 2009. The tractor Wendell drives every spring planting and every fall harvest is the 1976 John Deere 423. His father bought brand new in March of 1976 for $14,200 cash from the Lyman family Paxton dealership. 100 horsepower, 6-cylinder, 6404 T-turbo diesel, quad-range 16-speed transmission, Cat 2 3-point hitch, the same dark factory green Daltrey, washed every Saturday afternoon for 33 years. The 4230 had 12,400 hours on the meter the morning Wendell drove her to the gravel parking lot of First Iroquois National Bank in Onarga on Tuesday, March 12, 2024. If this kind of story matters to you, the kind where the paperwork tells the truth and the people behind it stand by their word, we'd be honored if you subscribed. Wendell had walked into First Iroquois National Bank that Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. to renew his annual operating note, a small revolving line of credit for spring inputs. The note's principal was $4,200. Diesel, seed corn, a lift pump for the planter, and a set of new sweeps for the cultivator. The Cawood family had renewed the same operating note every March since 1982 at the same Onarga branch. The interest rate this year was 7.4%. The term was 9 months, payable at the close of fall harvest. The man behind the loan officer's desk on March 12th was not the man Wendell had signed his last 41 operating notes with. The previous officer, Sterling Burrows, had retired in November of 2023 at age 68. The new officer was Crispin Holderness, 42, slicked back blonde hair, pressed white dress shirt, narrow burgundy tie, polished black wingtips. Crispin had taken the position in January 2024 after a transfer from a regional Chicago bank's ag lending desk. Crispin slid a printed loan packet across the desk to Wendell at 9:14 a.m. "Mr. Cawood, the packet is updated for our current ag lending policy," Crispin said. "Crispin, the operating note is the same paper Sterling and I have signed every March for 41 years," Wendell said. "Sterling's terms were generous," Crispin replied. "The bank has tightened the collateral schedule for ag operating notes under $25,000. The new schedule requires titled equipment to be listed on the UCC1 financing statement." "Crispin, the operating note is for $4,200, Wendell said. "Diesel at $1,640, seed corn at $1,820, a lift pump at $480, and a set of sweeps at $260. We're not financing equipment. We're floating spring inputs against fall harvest revenue." "Mr. Cawood, the bank's collateral schedule is the policy," Crispin said. "The 1976 John Deere 4230 you've listed as your primary equipment asset on prior loan applications would secure the note." "Crispin, the 4230 is mine free and clear," Wendell said. "I've never financed her. My father paid $14,200 cash for her in March of 1976. The original title's in my glove box." "Sir, the bank's collateral schedule applies whether the equipment is financed or unfinanced," Crispin said. "The UCC1 secures the bank's interest in the asset for the duration of the operating note." "Crispin, I'm not signing a UCC one on my father's tractor for a $4,200 note I've paid in full every November for 41 years, Wendell said. Mr. Cawood, the bank cannot extend the operating note without the collateral filing, Crispin replied. Then I'll go elsewhere, Wendell said. Sir, you're already in the renewal cycle, Crispin said. The bank has the right to call the prior note balance under the cross-default provisions of the Master Ag Lending Agreement we modified in February. Crispin, there's no prior balance, Wendell answered. I paid the November 2023 note in full on November 28th. The payoff was $4,448 against a $4,200 principal at 7.4% over 9 months. There's a prior balance of $1,840 in deferred interest the bank's reconciliation team identified in February, Crispin said. That's the first I've heard of any deferred interest, Wendell said. It's in the modification packet Sterling sent you in October, Crispin said with a small dismissive smirk. I never received any modification packet from Sterling in October, Wendell replied. Mr. Cawood, the bank has documentation of certified mail delivery, Crispin said. Crispin, I want to speak with Quincy Halverson, Wendell said. Mr. Halverson is in a meeting until 11, Crispin replied. I'll wait, Wendell said. If you're still here, subscribe. The numbers in this story are real, and so are the names behind them. Wendell waited in the bank lobby until 11:14 a.m. Quincy Halverson never came out of the back office. At 11:32 a.m., Wendell drove the 4230 the 28 miles back home to Saybrook with the operating note unsigned. He called Earl Braddock that afternoon a little after 2 o'clock from the kitchen line. Earl, Wendell Cawood from outside Saybrook, Wendell said. Wendell, how can I help you? Earl asked. My bank tried to lien my father's 4230 against a $4,200 operating note this morning. Said there's $1,840 in deferred interest from a modification packet I never saw. Loan officers, a new man named Crispin Holderness. Quincy Halverson wouldn't come out of his office. Wendell, the 4230's free and clear? My father paid $14,200 cash for her in March 1976. The original title's in the glove box. Never financed, never used as collateral, never been near a UCC1 filing. Wendell, who keeps your books? Marlene. She's kept the book since 1982. Every receipt, every lien release, every title document. Single black ledger on the kitchen desk. Wendell, you're going to want Imogene Barr. I'll call her tonight. We'll meet at her Paxton office tomorrow morning. Earl, thank you. Imogene Barr met Wendell, Marlene, and Earl at her Paxton office at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, March 13, 2024. Marlene brought the single black ledger from the kitchen desk. Wendell brought the original 1976 John Deere manufacturer's statement of origin and the Illinois titled assignment from his glove box. The MSO was on John Deere Company letterhead from McLean, dated March 18, 1976, signed by the Lyman family Paxton dealership and assigned to Daltrey Cawood as full cash purchaser. The Illinois title was issued by the Secretary of State on April 4, 1976. No lion holder of any kind was listed on the title. The title transferred to Wendell on August 17, 2009 by a state executor's deed following Daltrey's death. Wendell, this is the cleanest title chain I've seen in 20 years, Imogene said. The 4230 has been free and clear from her first day off the Lyman lot. There has never been a UCC-1 filed against her in Illinois Secretary of State records. Imogene. Can I confirm that? Earl asked. I pulled the UCC search at 7:30 this morning. 0 filings under Cawood, 0 filings against the 4230's serial number, 0 filings against the Saybrook farm. Imogene, what about the modification packet? Wendell asked. I pulled the bank's filing record on the operating notemaster agreement. There is no recorded modification from October 2023. Sterling Burroughs never filed a modification. Crispin Holderness either fabricated the prior balance or applied it from the wrong account. Imogene, what does the bank do next? Marlene asked. If I were Crispin, I'd send a recovery agent to the Cawood farm to attempt a self-help repossession of the 4230 under the misrepresented collateral schedule. That's the play if he genuinely believes the modification packet exists. It's also the play if he's trying to bluff Wendell into signing the new packet under duress. Imogene, when? Earl asked. Within 10 days. The recovery contractors First Iroquois uses are out of McLean County. They run a white Peterbilt 337 wrecker. They'll come at first light to avoid a confrontation. Imogene, what should Wendell do? Earl asked. Wendell parks the 4230 inside the closed machine shed. He keeps the original MSO and the Illinois title in the breast pocket of his Carhartt every morning. He records every conversation with the bank from this point forward under the Illinois Eavesdropping Act consent provision when he is a party to the conversation. And he calls me the moment a wrecker rolls into the gravel drive. Imogene, I'll do all of that, Wendell said. And Earl will be there at first light from the day after tomorrow forward, Imogene said. I'll be there, Earl said. Wendell drove the 4230 from Imogene's Paxton office to Virgil Kemp's two-bay shop on Route 9 outside Gibson City on the way home Wednesday afternoon. Wendell wanted Virgil to look the tractor over from front to back before the bank's wrecker came at first light. Virgil walked around the 4230 twice, climbed up in the cab, ran her through the quad-range gears in the gravel drive, climbed down, and shook his head with quiet approval. Wendell, the 4230 is in better shape than half the modern iron that comes through this shop, Virgil said. The 6404T turbo seal is dry. The quad range slides through every gear. The Cat 2 hitch sits true. The cab glass is original. The 12,400 hours on this meter is the cleanest 12,400 hours I've ever seen on a 4230. Virgil, what's she worth on the open market? Wendell asked. In this condition? $24,800 to a private buyer, $18,400 at auction, $16,200 to a dealer trade, Virgil replied. Crispin Holderness was trying to lien $24,800 of free and clear iron against a $4,200 note. That's not a clerical error. Virgil, I owe you for the look-over, Wendell said. Nothing today, Virgil replied. Bring her by in May for a hydraulic filter and a coolant flush. We'll square at $180 then. Done, Virgil, Wendell said. Wendell, one more thing, Virgil said. Take the title out of the glove box tonight. Put it in the breast pocket of your Carhartt at 5 a.m. Friday, and don't let it leave that pocket until the wrecker rolls out of your gravel drive. The original MSO is what stops the recovery. Not the quad range, not the hours, not the cap. The MSO. Virgil, I'll do exactly that, Wendell said. The white 2019 Peterbilt 337 wrecker with the hydraulic boom and the dual rear wheels, rolled into the gravel drive of the Cawood farmstead outside Saybrook at 6:14 a.m. on Friday, March 15th, 2024. The eastern sky was a soft pre-dawn pink. Earl had been in the Cawood kitchen since 5:30 a.m. with Wendell, Marlene, and a fresh pot of coffee. Earl wore the olive-green John Deere mesh cap pulled low against the cold March morning, the dark-tan Carhartt chore coat over the buffalo check flannel, the Wrangler jeans, and the Red Wing Irish setter boots. His steel blue eyes met the eastern sky. His silver Chevy Silverado 2500 sat parked beside Wendell's faded white 1998 F-150 in the gravel drive. The 38-year-old driver and the 32-year-old wiry passenger climbed down from the Peterbilt cab and walked toward the closed machine shed. Wendell, Marlene, and Earl walked out the kitchen door and met them in the gravel drive at 6:18 a.m. "Mr. Cawood, we're here on a recovery order from First Iroquois National Bank," the 38-year-old driver said. "Show me the order," Wendell said. The driver handed Wendell a printed recovery authorization on First Iroquois letterhead, signed by Crispin Holderness, citing the modified collateral schedule on the operating note and the alleged $1,840 prior balance. Wendell read the order. Wendell handed the order back to the driver. Wendell pulled the original 1976 manufacturer's statement of origin and the Illinois title from the breast pocket of his Carhartt. "Driver, the 4230 in this shed has never been financed. The original MSO is from March 18th, 1976. The Illinois title was issued April 4th, 1976, with no lien holder. The title transferred to me from my father's estate on August 17, 2009, with no lien holder. There has never been a UCC-1 filed against this tractor in the state of Illinois. You are not authorized to recover this equipment." "Sir, our authorization is from the bank." "Your authorization is contradicted by 48 years of titled chain of ownership," Earl said. "Look at the title in his hand. The MSO is from John Deere Company directly to Daltrey Cawood. There is no bank in this paper trail. There is no lien in this paper trail. You're being sent to recover a tractor the bank has no security interest in." The 38-year-old driver looked at the title. The 32-year-old passenger looked at the MSO. The driver took out his cell phone and stepped 20 feet away into the gravel drive. He called the bank dispatcher. The conversation took 11 minutes. The driver came back to Wendell. "Mr. Cawood, we're standing down on the recovery. The bank's documentation does not match the chain of title in your possession. We'll file a no-recovery report this morning." "Thank you, driver," Wendell said. "Sir, I'm sorry for the trouble. We don't run on bad paperwork." "I appreciate the professionalism." The Peterbilt rolled out of the gravel drive at 6:33 a.m. Earl, Wendell, and Marlene watched the wrecker's tail lights disappear over the rise toward Bloomington in the pre-dawn light. "Wendell, the bank just sent a wrecker to your farm to take a tractor your father bought cash 48 years ago," Earl said. "They did," Wendell replied. "That's not a clerical error. That's a deliberate misrepresentation by Crispin Holderness." "I'm calling Imogene at 7 a.m., Wendell said. Imogene Barr filed a formal complaint with the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation against Crispin Holderness on Friday, March 15, 2024, at 9 a.m. By Friday afternoon, Imogene had also filed a civil suit against First Iroquois National Bank for $48,000 in damages and attorney's fees, attaching the record dispatch order, the falsified collateral schedule, and the original MSO and title chain. Quincy Halverson called Wendell at the Cawood farmstead at 4:18 p.m. on Friday, March 15, 2024. "Wendell, Quincy Halverson," Quincy said. "Quincy, you should have come out of the office on Tuesday." "Wendell, I should have. I was in a board call I couldn't break. I learned about the recovery order at noon today when Imogene Barr's letter arrived at my desk. I'm calling to apologize personally and to ask you to come to the bank Monday morning at 9 a.m. "Quincy, I'll come Monday." "Wendell, Crispin Holderness is on administrative leave as of an hour ago. The recovery order will be rescinded by the close of business today. The deferred interest charge is being reversed. Your operating note will be renewed at the same term Sterling extended last March. No UCC-1 filing required. Quincy, I appreciate the call. I'll see you Monday." Wendell, Marlene, Imogene, and Earl met Quincy Halverson at the First Iroquois National Bank Onarga branch at 9 a.m. on Monday, March 18, 2024. Quincy walked them into a small wood-paneled conference room at the back of the lobby. The bank's senior compliance officer, Hattie Lindstrom, sat at the corner of the conference table with a yellow legal pad and a small recording device on the table. "Wendell, Marlene, Imogene, Earl," Quincy said. "Thank you for coming in this morning. I'd like to start with an apology I should have offered Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. "Quincy, I appreciate that," Wendell replied. "Wendell, here's what I learned between Friday at noon and Sunday afternoon," Quincy said. "Crispin Holderness fabricated the deferred interest charge of $1,840 on 3 other Iroquois County operating notes between January 14th and March 12th, 2024. The bank's reconciliation team flagged the pattern at 2 p.m. Saturday. By Sunday at 11 a.m., I had the full picture. The total fabricated charges across all 4 borrowers came to $7,360. "Quincy, who else?" Wendell asked. "The other 3 borrowers were Mavis Renner outside Loda, Kenton Pell outside Onarga, and the Holcomb brothers outside Watsika," Quincy answered. "All 3 signed the modified operating notes under duress between January and February. The bank is reversing every fabricated charge today and refunding $1,840 to each borrower, along with $2,400 in attorney's fees per family." "Quincy, that's the right call," Imogene said. "Imogene, the bank should have caught this in February," Quincy replied. "We didn't. The McLean County wrecker, rolling into Wendell's drive at 6:14 Friday morning, was the alarm bell that finally got the right set of eyes on the Holderness file." "Quincy, how does Wendell sit going forward?" Earl asked. "Wendell sits exactly where he sat the day Sterling closed the November 2023 note. Sterling will personally handle the Cawood account from this morning forward. The 4230 will never appear on a UCC-1 schedule. The operating note will renew on the same paper Sterling has used since 1982. He showed Wendell the corrected operating note for $4,200 at 7.4% for 9 months. No collateral schedule attached. Wendell signed the note. Quincy signed the note. Imogene Barr countersigned as Wendell's representative. Quincy also handed Wendell a printed cashier's check for $48,000. The settlement Imogene had requested for the recovery dispatch and the false interest charge, drawn against the bank's general operating account. "Quincy, "This is more than fair," Wendell said. "Wendell, this is the bank doing what should have been done on Tuesday morning. I'm sorry it took a Peterbilt at first light for me to learn what was happening at my own loan officer's desk." "Quincy, what happens to Crispin?" Wendell asked. "Crispin's employment was terminated this morning at 7 a.m. The Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation is reviewing his lending license. His Ag lending file will be flagged across the regional bank network." "Quincy, will Sterling come out of retirement to handle the renewals?" "Sterling agreed to come back 2 days a week through the end of 2024 to retrain my new Ag lending desk." "Good," Wendell said. "Good," Quincy said. Wendell drove the 1976 John Deere 4230 home to the Saybrook farmstead that Monday afternoon. The 4230 pulled the spring planter through every one of his 480 acres between April 6 and April 18th, 2024, without a single hydraulic complaint or fault code. The 12,400 hours on the meter became 12,492 by the end of planting. Dale Voss came by the Braddock farmstead on a clear Wednesday morning in early May 2024 in his white GMC Yukon. "Earl, heard about Wendell Cawood stand at the bank," Dale said. "You heard," Earl said. 41 years that family banked at First Iroquois." 41 years that family banked clean at First Iroquois under Sterling Burroughs," Earl said. "Crispin Holderness lasted 10 weeks before he tried to lien a 1976 4230 against a $4,200 operating note. Sterling came out of retirement to clean it up." "You make it sound noble." "I make it sound right, Dale," Earl replied. 48 years of clean title beats 10 weeks of fabricated collateral every time." Dale shook his head with a wide, smug, mocking smirk and a dismissive grin and climbed back into the Yukon and drove off without another word. Earl sat at the kitchen table at the Braddock farmstead at 8 p.m. that evening with Ruth across from him. The white ceramic coffee pot sat between them. "Earl, Wendell finished planting today," Ruth said. "All 480 acres in 13 days with the 4230 and a 6-row planter. The hour meter rolled past 12,492. Daltrey would have been proud." "Earl, the bank settlement was $48,000. $48,000 plus the operating note renewed clean at $4,200. Marlene wrote a thank you to Sterling on Monday afternoon. "You drove out at 5:30 a.m. Friday to be there at first light," Ruth said. "I drove out at 5:30 a.m. Friday because Imogene told us the wrecker would be there at first light. The wrecker was there at 6:14 a.m., 10 minutes ahead of schedule." "Earl, what would have happened if you hadn't been there?" Ruth asked. "Wendell would have shown the driver the title himself, and the driver would have made the same call. Wendell didn't need me. He needed Imogene's research and 48 years of his father's careful paperwork and the original MSO from a Moline factory in March 1976. I just made the coffee." "You made more than the coffee, Earl." "I made the coffee, Ruth," Earl replied. The 1976 John Deere 4230, belonging to Wendell Cawood, ran his 480 acres through the entire 2024 spring planting and the 2024 fall harvest with the original 6404T turbo, the original quad range, the original Cat 2 3-point hitch, and the original 48-year-old paperwork in Wendell's breast pocket. Total hours added in 2024, 312. 0 parts failures, 0 mechanical issues, 0 recovery wreckers in the gravel drive at First Light. The First Iroquois National Bank operating note for $4,200 was paid in full on November 22, 2024, with proceeds from the corn check Wendell received from the Onarga grain elevator. Marlene wrote the payoff check at the kitchen desk on a Sunday evening, signed it, dated it, and slid it into a stamped envelope. The envelope went into the Tuesday morning rural mail. The original 1976 manufacturer's statement of origin and the Illinois title for the 1976 John Deere 423. Sit in a small fireproof safe in the back closet of the Cawood farmhouse outside Saybrook, Illinois. The safe replaced the glove box of the 4230 in May of 2024. Wendell decided 48 years was long enough for the most important piece of paper on the farm to ride around in a tractor cab. "Some paperwork belongs in a safe, Marlene," Wendell said. "Some paperwork belongs in a safe, Wendell," Marlene replied.